What's going on, everybody? Jason with Heap of Jeep, and today starting the project that I was trying to avoid. Let me show you what's going on. Remember this 2002 little 4-banger Jeep Wrangler? Put the top on it, put the new exhaust on it. Life was going to be good, right? If you're not familiar with what a broken piston skirt sounds like, let me introduce you to my Jeep. There you go. Once I changed the exhaust, put the new exhaust on, I started hearing the piston slap. It took one of these little stethoscope thingies to determine that it was a piston slap. Sometimes you can get away with driving those for 10,000 miles or more. This Jeep decided no. It's got 88,700 miles on it, so just under 90,000, and it decided it was going to let go the piston skirt. Number 4 cylinder, as determined by that. There really isn't much to do. I could pull the head, replace the piston if the cylinder wall isn't too bad. That's a chance he could take. I decided, I just bought this thing. I've only made 2 payments on it. I'm ordering a crate engine. My time with replacing engines has only been in an assistance mode, and it's been Chevys and Fords. I have not actually pulled an engine in a Jeep. None of my 4 liters or this 2.5. So, factory service manual, the removal, where does it go? Starts down here. Here we go. Removal. So, we're just going to go by the factory service manual step by step and see where we go. So, step 1, place a protective cloth over the windshield, raise the hood, and rest it on the windshield frame. I don't know if you can see the trees blowing in the background. Pretty windy day in northern Michigan, so I'm actually going to bungee or ratchet strap the hood up there so that it doesn't come flying down and smack me in the head. That can happen. Ask me how I know. Easiest thing for me was just to run a simple ratchet. It's not even a ratchet, it's just a secure, one of those push button things, but just to the back bumper. I mean, you could attach it anywhere. That was just easy, and there we go. Step 2, disconnect the negative battery cable. Step 3, remove the air cleaner, resonator, and related duct work. On most Jeeps, the resonator is held down by a bolt. Mine's been missing since I bought the thing, so I've just got to take off a couple of clamps here. And this whole thing will come up. Just for more room to work in there, I'm going to remove the whole air box. I don't know if that's what it means by air cleaner, probably. So, the air filter and that whole air box is coming out too. Step number 4, drain the cooling system. Alrighty, step number 5, air conditioning, plumbing, standard procedure, discharge AC system. I don't have AC, so skipping it. Step number 6, remove upper radiator hose. Alright, number 7, remove the viscous fan drive assembly. That'll be fun. So from the looks of this, I've got to remove these 4 bolts down here. But the fan shroud, I think, is going to be in the way. So I think the shroud may have to come off at the same time as the fan. So I'm going to do it that way. A couple of bolts on each side there, 4 bolts there. Shouldn't be a pain in the butt, I don't think. Coolant reservoir has to come off the fan shroud. This puppy holding on the power steering, it's power steering, not coolant. I think it's a coolant. So I think I said coolant, I meant power steering fluid reservoir. I think this is just one of those Christmas tree type fasteners. The manual isn't telling me much, so I'm just going to try prying it out of here. Worst comes to worst, I break it, and I got to put in a regular bolt. Yep, just one of those Christmas tree fastener things. So I'm down to the last bolt on the fan shroud, and the fan itself is, all those bolts are loose. I don't think the shroud's coming off without the fan coming off, so once that's loose, I think I can just get everything out all in one piece. And according to the manual, always keep this vertical, don't store it lying down, because then the oils and stuff will all start leaking out, or the clutch or something, I don't know. But I'll just follow the manual for now, right? Store it vertically. Now, as I've gotten older, I've noticed I misplace nuts and bolts a lot. So, lots of baggies, be ready to label them. Fan shroud, this will go in a box. All of them will go in the box. If I get done and there's a bag left, I'll know I screwed something up, or if there's not enough or whatever. So that's just a little tip. And we are on to step number 8, remove accessory drive belts. I ordered a new belt because I figured, heck, I'm tearing the whole thing apart, might as well replace it. But I mean, that belt's not cracked or worn, it looks pretty new. And the writing on it is still there and in good shape, and there's no cracks, and this will be a good spare one to throw in the back of the Jeep. So that was step number 8. 9, disconnect the transmission cooler lines if equipped. It's manual, so it doesn't have them. 10, disconnect lower radiator hose at radiator. Oh, number 11, remove fan shroud screws. We had to do that to get the fan off, so that's gone. Remove the radiator attaching bolts. I've been going back and forth whether I want to remove the radiator or not. It's not that big a deal, but it's one less thing that I'd have to worry about if I just left it in there. I'm worried that as the engine's swinging, as I'm pulling it out, I might smack into that thing, so I think I am going to try and pull it out. It's just 3 bolts on each side, and I'm going to spritz them all with some PB Blaster. How crazy is that? Might have to clean all those bugs off before I put this puppy back in. Disconnect the wires at the starter motor. So Doesn't say remove the starter motor, just says disconnect the wires. Okay. Alright, I couldn't get the camera down there to film it, but I think it's just the positive battery cable and the plug for the starter switch. So those are the two I unhooked. I can't see anything else that I need to worry about with the starter. So I'm just going to move on for now. Number 15, disconnect the wire connectors from the generator. Secure the harness out of the way. We call it an alternator, but you know. Here's a real good example of why you want to label your wiring harness stuff as you take it off. I'm guessing these either go to the air conditioning unit, which would sit here if it had it. Who the hell knows where they go to? They're not in use. If I don't label things, when I get to these, I'm going to be going, where the hell are these plug in? So the fact that they're not labeled means they don't plug in anywhere. So, yeah. Alright, let's get to the generator, alternator, whatever it's called. There's one plug here. There's a tab over on the side. Push that in, and it comes right out. I'm starting to lose light. I'm going as quick as I can to get as much as I can here before we have to end this video. Let's see. Number 16, if equipped with AC, disconnect all that, but it's not. Number 17, disconnect the ignition coil and distributor wire connectors. On the ignition coil, there's this wire here, and then the spark plug wire on the back. I'm just going to pop the distributor cap off, take all the plug wires off. Number 18 is disconnect the oil pressure sender wire, which is down here. I can't get a real good camera angle. There's a little red safety tab on it, and then it just unplugs. Number 19, disconnect the harness ground at the engine oil dipstick tube mounting stud. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos of people pulling these engines out, or the 4.0 is real similar to these. A lot of people forget that. And they're, hey, what's caught up? So just follow the directions, you'll get it. Alright, let's see. To disconnect the heater hose. This is number 20. Disconnect the heater hoses from the thermostat housing and the water pump inlet tube. Doesn't say to do this, but I'm just taking them off the rest of the way just so that they're not in my way. Might be later on in the directions, but it makes sense to do them now. Disconnect the CCV hoses from the cylinder head cover and intake manifold. So there's this one, which on my Jeep is splitting and cracked, and I'll have to see if I can find something to replace that. They don't actually sell this hose anymore, so I just have to buy some hose the same size and do a makeshift. But I think they mean this. On this Jeep it's a 15 mil. Disconnect the accelerator, transmission line pressure if equipped, and speed control if equipped cables from the throttle body. I think all this one has is the accelerator cable. Number 23 says to remove cables from this bracket. There's just a couple little ears you got to compress, and then that just pops through. You just compress those. number 24, disconnect the body ground at the engine. That can be a pain in the butt to get to. So the body ground, I believe they are talking about this wire. It attaches to the firewall there, and then runs down here and attaches the pane to get at. The firewall just keeps you from being able to get any tools at it. So I'm just taking the ground wire off from the body. Which is okay, because you should clean these grounds up anyways from time to time. Camera's dying and the light's dying, so we'll try to go quick here and try to get through a few more of these before we call it. Disconnect the following connectors and secure their harnesses out of the way. Power steering pressure switch if equipped. Coolant temperature sensor at thermostat housing. 4 fuel injector connectors. Intake air temperature sensor, idle air control, throttle position. There's a whole list on here. It's basically just all the sensors. Make sure you label them all. Do you need to see that? Just label them, pull them. They're just the connectors. You're good. So there's an awful lot of blue marking wires and connectors, and that's what you want. I jumped ahead a little bit and got the some of the vacuum lines, brake booster line. That's for the HVAC. Hooks up there. I just did it as I was going. So we're on to the next step. Okay, that would have been step 26. Disconnect the CCV HVAC supply, brake booster supply, canister bird hoses from the intake manifold. I just did that as I was going along because I was right there. So now, relieve fuel pressure, step number 27. And step number 28 is disconnect the fuel supply line at the fuel rail. To get rid of fuel pressure, I mean, you can stick a rag under there. This Jeep hasn't been running since I moved it earlier today. Just watch your eyes. It's a Schrader valve, just push the valve in. And there we go, fuel pressure released. Chrysler had a few different versions of how they did these. Alright, you know what, I'm just going to leave it there. I'll start with that fuel pressure thing, fuel line in the morning. Where are we? I'm in step 28. And I really don't have that many more steps to go before we pull this thing out. I wanted it to be a 2-day pull out. I think it's going to work. So it's going to rain tomorrow. I may have to set the tent up over the top of the Jeep here so that I have a dry place to work, but we'll figure it out. And video 2 in pulling a 2.5 liter engine out of a Wrangler will be coming soon. So thank you everybody, and I'll catch you on the next one.